After 4 years of marriage, Dave and I decided to have more children. At my health insurance company's deposition, Dave was the lead plaintiff's attorney, and I was one of 6 defending a vulnerable position. Dave is a smart, partnership-ready lawyer who will make millions fighting for justice. I am a decent lawyer, but not his caliber. I was surprised to hear from him soon after the claim was granted. He wanted something more carnal than my legal expertise. After many dinners, drinks, dances, and events, I learned he was a humorous and fascinating conversationalist. Everything we wanted was sex. Dave is a creative and attentive lover, and my body is passionate and sensitive. Following the wedding, we moved into one. Gated communities for the privileged grew like weeds across Long Island. At least those with a few million on a 4-bedroom ranch, too small for the price and too huge for us. We can expand and add an au pair if I return to work. We lived the American dream with more money than a young couple could wish for, and it looked like our only concern were Dave's working hours. Both of us are lawyers, but I work in an office 9 to 5 while he pursues a powerful partnership. As a gated community resident, I attend innumerable meetings, barbecues, dinners, wine tastings, and neighborhood functions. I met Joanna and her husband Walter during these many meetings and became friends. This duo interested me. With free time and a vacation in the last month of pregnancy, I determined to learn everything I could. Since Joanna doesn't work and lives 2 doors down from us, I befriended her instead of hiring a private detective or investigating their personal life. I was intrigued but not insane. There was a mystery I didn't need to unravel. Walter appears to be a certified auditor. He runs a little business. Strangely, he never seeks new clients or contacts like other self-employed entrepreneurs. He looks like a 40s bald accountant with a pot belly, not overweight. He's 5'3" and a literary nerd who often seems aloof or bewildered. His fit with the guys is never quite right. Doesn't golf, fish, drink, or fit the alpha male stereotype in our town. He is also bashful around ladies, curiously for a married man. Always polite and a gentleman, he blends in without showing off. However, Joanna is gorgeous, vivacious, and flirting. Roughly 30, yet she appears younger and is completely dedicated to Walter. Even with 2 children, she has a grin that would put the Mona Lisa to shame, a physique that even on my finest day I could not compare to, breasts the size of a small pineapple, possibly expanded, and a mysterious sultriness that screams sex. I've only seen her angry twice. Once when some men made fun of Walter in her presence and she vocally rebuked them, so they fled away with their tails between your legs, and another time when a local ladies' man tried to abuse her with your antics. He was probably glad his testicles were still intact, but she made it clear that if he or anybody else tried, they would fail. Her possessions are for Walter alone. Her noticeable, an unhealthy infatuation on Walter. We all know it, except Walter, who seems unaware. He loves and respects her and looks committed to her, but he's too boring to notice the signs others perceive. He may have accepted it as natural after living with it for so long. As mentioned, they reside 2 doors down and can afford to live here. It appears they don't have the neighborhood's toys. The automobiles lack personality. The yard has no boats, 6-foot TVs, or man's dens with mahogany bars like others mention. Their backyard has a pool and a standard barbecue like other residences here. But nothing extraordinary. Her budget was never an issue, but she didn't follow fashion trends. She wore only a simple but decent wedding band, a gold wedding ring, and 2 small cylinder gold earrings. They can afford toys, but there's no need to compete by displaying them. Their children are a 6-year-old son and a 2-year-old daughter. Their parents definitely care for these sweet, well-behaved kids. Latina girl takes care of them, like a maid and nanny, as well as stay-at-home mom Joan. Even so, they're normal. I believe my 6-year-old son attends one of the top private schools in the neighborhood, but nothing remarkable. Mom takes him to and from school while his father works and the nanny watches the baby. By then, I was 8 months pregnant and on leave from work. I used to work out every morning by walking. I left early when I watched Joan drop off her son at school, even though I lived close by. After talking, I offered her to coffee at home. She promised to come by lunchtime for coffee and discussion after taking her son to the gym, shopping, and a busy morning. I knew there was a narrative between them, but I didn't expect it that day. My error. Joanna arrived late. I asked her if she wanted more kids while we drank coffee and spoke about pregnancy and kids. Walter replies it relies on him. As it will be. If he wants more, we'll deliver. If not. As she spoke, she twirled her small gold earring with her fingers, an anxious behavior I had seen her do countless times when talking about Walter. Since it's not the 19th century, you have an opinion. He can't coerce pregnancy. Walter would never do that. He's great, and I couldn't envision marrying anybody better. I'll do anything to make him happy, including having children and their absence, and whatever he desires. You love him that much. We all saw how you treat him like God's gift to women and won a prize. You treat him that way. I've never seen anything like this until meeting you two. He occasionally seems clueless, like he doesn't grasp your help. I hope he never realizes," she added, spinning the earring again. The weird statement made me look at her more closely. You don't want him to know your love? Not that it's hard to explain. Just a question, Roberta. Can you keep a secret if I tell you, lawyer? Like a lawyer's client's secret, always discussed. I can't if hired. Do you have issues? Walter harming or threatening you? Nothing like that. As a precaution, I'd like to share one story that will never happen again. What does hiring you require? Quite straightforward. Give me $10 as an advance, and we may verbally establish attorney-client privilege. She handed me a 20 from her purse and grinned. Call yourself hired. I grew raised on Long Island, but not here, she said. My roofer father spent half his money in a bar. We never had much money. Mom was a hairdresser and brought home a few things, but we were lower middle class, unlike in this region. It is surprising that I graduated high school and got into secretarial school despite his drinking, womanizing and fighting. Walter and I met while working at a recruitment firm on short-term projects. Maternity leave for his secretary. Her assistant filled in for her, so they hired me, so I was second cast. When was this? Around 10 years ago. I was 24 and bored of partying and looked for a serious partner. I was a selfish little bitch who thought about finding a wealthy husband for a few years and then making a good living. Walter seemed ideal. His ignorance and inexperience were much greater when he was 32, 8 years older than me. I wouldn't call him rich, but he had a business, a decent apartment in a good part of town, and seemed like a wonderful starting husband. After leaving his office, I started dating him and moved in with him. After a year, we married. Walter was kind and relaxed. I believed I could control him forever. He trusted entirely and never mentioned a marriage contract. I'm not proud of my gold digger past, but I won't sugarcoat it. After 10 years, you're still blissfully married. It is. Our engagement was typical. Our marriage simply required me to want a real home that we could call our own. I always rented apartments. We chose our current one after looking around. Though it was large, Walter desired room for kids. I didn't want children, but I didn't want to disappoint him before the wedding. His not doing so was excellent news for me. The pricing was disclosed to Blink, who included me in the contract without issue. However, shortly before the wedding, an occurrence occurred that I did not consider noteworthy, but later realized it was arguably the most important event of my life. That was what? Walter invited us to dinner with a high school acquaintance a few weeks after we were engaged. We headed to a mom-and-pop expensive Italian restaurant I'd never been to. We felt like we had infiltrated a private home when we entered the restaurant, and we were not welcome. Walter told the head waiter who we were meeting, and everything changed. We were shown the nicest table. A bottle of the best wine was presented to us by the owner within 5 minutes. After that, service was amazing. 2 waiters were always around and were at the table before we could blink. We had just finished supper when 2 enormous men entered and looked about the restaurant. Walter's friends had not yet arrived. The other joined us behind us after one left. The first man reappeared with 2 other men, one well-dressed and Walter's age and the other much older. Walter stood up, hugged them, and introduced me to their friend Tony and his grandfather Salvatore. These 2 were different from Walter. I lived on Long Island my whole life, and they were close. When I approached him about it, he said he didn't know that Tony was an old school acquaintance. In general, they left quickly. The old man delivered a brief toast, and they drank to congratulate our wedding success. Tony gave me an early wedding gift. I learned they hugged before leaving with $10,000 diamond earrings. No one attended the wedding, and I didn't see Tony for 2 years. People say life went on. Getting married, moving, buying furniture, and decorating the house distracted me from that supper. Walter worked every day but never seemed ambitious. I repeatedly asked him whether he wanted more clients and to grow the firm, but he said he was happy. Money was never an issue. I had no idea how much he had, yet he never opposed my purchase. You found married bliss. Just say we've settled into marriage. Walter is kind, polite, and sweet, but occasionally a female wants more in bed. I wasn't ready to divorce Walter until I recognized his worth. I had to be careful, but something harder was needed. I hadn't planned anything at home. I joined the gym because the evenings were free and there were too many irritating people. I wanted to work out and stay fit. I added a personal trainer. Christopher pushed me to my personal limits in the gym and beyond. He was 1.85 meters tall, half Italian, and hard as nails. Our secret affair involved gathering at hotels several times a week for a day of games and fun. He gave me what I needed with his tremendous perseverance. Your affair. Did Walter discover this? Never. But it ended horribly and never occurred again. Interestingly, Walter had to work for 2 days and a night, so Chris and I booked a hotel room. We'd never done this before, generally hanging out for 2 hours during the day. It was intended to be fun for us both. Memories are few. I guess they both drugged us. Just that one evening, we were pulled into a car and transported to a distant warehouse by 6 tough men. Since Chris sold steroids, I assumed it was related. I was in the wrong place at the wrong moment. But it looked bad. You were kidnapped? What happened? How did you escape? Did Walter find out? As she told me her narrative, her voice became monotone, as if she had withdrawn from everything. Her description and specifics were unsettling. After the drugs wore off, I was handcuffed to a chair. They bound my arms and legs with elastic to prevent marks and sealed my mouth so I couldn't speak. They avoided marking me for some reason. Chris was suspended by his wrists with a tied rope. I sat opposite him. 2 men ripped his shirt around the handcuffs and tore his clothes off. Large plastic fabric was placed under him, and thick chains were used to beat him repeatedly. She shuddered and stopped before continuing in a steady tone. Chris eventually stopped screaming. Lucky he lost consciousness. People left and returned with 2 big barrels, one of which contained my body beloved. Lost consciousness thinking what the second one was for me. I silently listened, enraptured. I had never heard such tales. Even in my worst dreams, this was unexpected. While still strapped to the chair, I woke up. Another chair opposite me was occupied by Walter's friend Tony. One of the men was told to remove the bandage from my mouth and hand. Sitting transfixed, I stared at him. He put a drink into a flask from under his coat and gave it to me. I coughed. After sipping. It was powerful, but I needed it. Alcohol warmed me up despite my poor clothes and cold weather. Tony's voice was gentle. Joanna, we'll chat. I want your total honesty. Joanna, can you help? If you do, we'll forget, and you can return home safely. I nodded quietly. Is Walter aware about your boyfriend? No, I disagree. I attempted to hide it from him. Could this man have gotten you pregnant? My birth control is tablets. I'm not ready for kids. Does Walter know you use contraception? No. Joanna, do you love your husband? Do you believe you can please him? I love him and know I can. Make him happy. I'm deeply sorry. Just needed. He stopped me with a hand. You may not realize, but your husband is one of the smartest individuals I know. He could have written and taught well if he wished. He excels in money laundering and hiding it from authorities. His workplace is small, and he has few clients. My family, friends, and business partners are clients. Several cartels in this country paid us for his services. Walter is unusual despite or because of his ability. We know this and want him to be happy. As you saw today, many want him to be happy and will do whatever to make him happy. We think you can cheer him up. I can make Walter happy since I adore him. No secrets between us. I talk to Walter often and he adores you. We don't want to disappoint him because you're his perfect wife and mother. We both know you're a gold digger. What you didn't know. Walter has an unbelievable amount of gold. But trying to get it will anger too many people and ruin every minute of it. My companions will take you to the car and get you home safely. Walter doesn't need to know. After a month of guarantee, cease birth control and give Walter his children. Can you assist me? Yes, I pray we never meet again because you won't leave. There are 1,000 ways to die, from automobile accidents to robberies, and Walter will never know why. Be aware that you will spend time in hell first. Never make me want to talk to you again. Never make me fear whatever you do will upset Walter. Me too stunned to talk. Joanna perhaps too excited to tell. We sat till she concluded the narrative. No one told Walter what occurred. He wasn't informed. I try to please him every day since my life depends on it. The earrings you see me wearing and a Tony card arrived in the mail a month later. I wear them daily to remember. What earrings are these? She removed one and gave it to me. A golden 200-liter barrel miniature was excellent. She now carries 2 empty barrels on a pallet every day as a reminder of her ideal self. To prevent your second chaff from cheating, subscribe to our channel and listen to the next story, which is better. Avoid listening to the next one if you're under 18.